We talked about the possibility about him getting arrested. Well, it happened. The police department showed up at the Four Seasons Hotel where he's been staying, ostensibly to confront Joe Rogan. I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body. And that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Here with an RX Muscle news update. We talked about the Liver King yesterday and how insanely crazy he's been acting lately. We talked about the possibility about him getting arrested. Well, it happened. The police department showed up at the Four Seasons Hotel where he's been staying, ostensibly to confront Joe Rogan, and they arrested him for terroristic threats. I don't know if he's a terrorist, and it seems a little trumped up, these charges. I'm sure Joe Rogan must have made a phone call to the police department and said, hey, this guy's a nut, and I'm a little nervous about the fact that he's come to Austin where I live, and he's threatening, that he wants to fight me. But I don't see, personally, despite how crazy he's acting, and it seems like he's definitely on some drugs. Obviously, the Liver King's real name being Brian Johnson. He showed up with his family and his kids, his wife and kids. I don't think he was showing up to do anything menacing or anything very dangerous to Joe Rogan, not with his family there. I think that he legitimately felt that Rogan would get in the ring with him and that they would have a fight. They would get into the octagon, fight. He was fully ready to be tapped out. He even said it. He goes, I fully expect you're going to tap me out, choke me out, and I will not tap out. I will go unconscious, and it's fine. And he was actually talking about the fact that he's actually looking forward to it. Like it was going to be something like cool that he's going to get to do.
And you're a black belt, but you've never come across something like this. Willing to die, hoping that you'll choke me out. I pray to God because that's a dream come true. It feels good. And then the limbs, I'm fighting for my family. So limb. Go ahead.
And, that he's a little wacky. And I didn't really see, anything that would indicate that he's going to do anything dangerous to Joe Rogan at all. So I kind of think that the cops arresting him was really not justified. In that sense, I kind of felt bad for him, but you know what? He was acting like such a cuckoo bird when they came there, and he's trying to. He sounded like my 9-year-old son, trying to stall because he doesn't want to go to sleep at night. He's like, oh, "Can you give me 12 more minutes? Can you give me 5 more minutes? Can you give me 2 more minutes?" Before they took him, and I got to take a shit. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to eat a meal, and he was acting like really crazy.
Whatever I needed to, and I'm going to also do everything that I can with that amount of time. I'm trying to explain the least amount that I'm going to. We agreed on 12, correct?
12 minutes, correct.
There's 12 ancestral minutes, you know that?
I do.
Yeah. They're actually principles. When I asked another man how much time I had, he said none, zero.
Obviously, the Liver King has plenty of money. He's staying in a really fancy hotel. And, I think he felt this was a good publicity stunt, probably to promote his channel and everything that he does. Unfortunately, I don't know if he's on drugs or not, but he's acting very erratic and irrational and saying some, he's kind of talking like a drunken person. So I don't know what's going on in his brain or what he's on. But if he had been doing it in a coherent, very sarcastic manner, I don't think that he would have gotten arrested. Or if he would have, I think it would have been a lot more sincere that, hey, I am being victimized just because I'm calling out this guy on social media. Everyone calls everyone out. No one else gets arrested. Why am I getting arrested? But he was acting like such a weirdo about it that I really think the cops were like, I think we should take this guy in. This guy is, he needs psychiatric evaluations, here going on, because he's speaking like gibberish, a lot of it. And, meanwhile, he's yelling at all the guys that work for him, make sure you don't stop filming this, keep filming, keep filming. So obviously he knew that there was some sort of a marketability aspect to what was going on. But in my viewpoint, it was not a positive marketability for him. It kind of made him look like a crazy person. And, eating raw bull testicles and bone marrow is kooky, but it's kind of fun kooky, right? I mean, because eating berries off a bush in his backyard is kind of fun. It shows he's a little crazy, but it's kind of like a fun video. You don't think of the guy as like, being like, needing a psychiatric, evaluation. He's just doing something for the camera, he's performing, and he's living this like, quote, ancestral lifestyle. But when he starts like talking in circles and talking about, the universe and weird, things going on, and and talking cryptically about Joe Rogan and what he's got coming to him, and it gets a little scary, and he has a big following. I'm sure if he was just some cuckoo guy that no one followed, no one would give a crap. But I don't know if Rogan called the cops, or Rogan told the cops that, he felt threatened by this guy purposely, just to kind of make a spectacle of him and get back at him, because Rogan knows he can't fight this guy, because it's not going to happen. Someone's going to sue someone, and Rogan just, he's a comedian. He's cracking jokes at this guy's expense, and now this guy is like losing his mind that he wants to fight Rogan. Rogan's probably like, I wish I never even brought this guy up, probably, because he doesn't need Liver King publicity. He's got Donald Trump coming on his show. He's got big names coming on there that are give him a lot more publicity in a much more normal sense. He does not need some lunatic who's eating, bull testicles, who wants to beat him up, and for some sort of fame and fortune. What might have been funny is he should have just asked the Liver King to come on his show, and they could have had security there, and they could have just aired out the whole thing. I mean, that would have been really funny, but I'm sure that's what the Liver King wanted, because he wanted that publicity from Rogan. But I think it would have been, at this point, because it escalated to such the degree that it did, I think that would have been a better option. And that's obviously why Brian showed up. He wanted to get on Rogan's show. Rogan should have said, you know what? Come down, fine. I would have had extra security there if I was Rogan. They could have had a metal detector, make sure no weapons were being brought in there. And he could have had this lunatic on the set, and he could have exposed him for being on drugs or out of his mind. Right then and there, it would have been over with, and that would have been the end of it. And it probably would have been the end of the Liver King. The Liver King probably would have lost all credibility with his viewers, because he's just not acting rationally. Now, if he was rational and he was sober and he went in there, it might have been a good conversation. So I don't think Rogan could have lost on this one. I just think that Rogan didn't want to give him the pulpit to be able to, talk his gibberish on his show. He felt it wasn't worth it, and he opted to have him arrested. There's no way they're going to be able to keep this guy.
Should we go? Okay, so what did they say?
Listen, you just take this with a grain of salt, but they assured me he's going to be in and out.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to process you, the bill out, but we're talking probably 24 hours.
24 hours?
Maybe first thing tomorrow when he sees the judge. I don't know.
Oh, so it's not an hour. He's going to be in the 24 hours.
I don't know.
He's no threat to anyone. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't threatened him other than to say, I want to fight you, in a ring. He's not going to the guy's house, although I think he was planning to drive by the guy's house with his car or something like that. I don't know what his plans were, but he was certainly no threat to Joe Rogan. He wasn't going to blow up his house, not with bringing his wife and kids to Austin. He was trying to make a spectacle of the whole thing, and Joe Rogan knew that, and he overreacted. I don't know why, but that was his option he took. I'm sure the Liver King will probably be released in a day or so. Maybe they Baker acted him. I don't know. Maybe he is on substances. I don't know. Maybe they drug tested him. We don't know any more than what's been reported at this point. For now, the Liver King has been arrested. Stay tuned for further updates on the Liver King as they come in. Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle news update.